Hi there, welcome back to Taiwa's Corner, a place where faith meets everyday living. It is often said that when you love someone, you give to them. You give them your time, you give them your resources, and anything that is within your power to give. It is natural. This series is titled The Greatest Story Ever Told. And in the last episode, we talked about the gift aspect of the greatest story ever told, which is centered on John chapter 3, verse 16, which says, "For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." It is centered on love, gift, and life. In the last episode, we talked about the love aspect, and in this episode, we'll be focusing on the gift aspect. Let's dive in. The second part of that scripture said that he gave his only begotten Son. God loved us, but he didn't just say it, he proved it by action, by giving us the greatest gift he held dear to him, which is his only begotten Son. Now, I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself these following questions. What is the most precious thing to me? What do I hold most dear to me? Is it a person, a possession, a property, a possession of any sort? And then think of how far you go to protect that precious thing to you. And now imagine having to give that person or thing, whatever you consider most precious to yourself, just to prove your love. That is exactly what God did for you and I. He gave the most precious thing to him. I want you to visualize this. God only had one Son, his most beloved Son. Yet he gave it in order to prove his love for you and I. And not because we are deserving of it, but also because his love required action. That is what the love of God entails. It has a gift aspect to it. Like I said in the first episode, we talked about the love aspect. And now we are seeing in practical terms the gift aspect. He didn't just love us, he gave to us. Now, like I talked about in the last episode, describing the love aspect of this greatest love story ever told, I gave an example of how I gave my time in expression of my love for God, which was something that was difficult for me at first, and how I got over that struggle, and it has now become one of the strongest foundation of my faith even today. When we talk about giving, we often think about money and material things. And while all these are valid, it is not just about that. It is about surrendering. It is about offering to God what you hold dear to yourself, trying to express your level of love and commitment and devotion to him. In today's episode, I want to talk about another aspect of my giving to God. Now, let me share with you a personal story or personal experience on how I give to God and how I've committed to giving to God and showing him how much I love him. I've made it a tradition to always give my first fruit to God and to the interests of his kingdom. And ever since I made that commitment, I have never known a better yesterday in terms of the kind of jobs and career advancements I've gotten. Every time I start a new job, my first fruit always goes towards God and the interests of his kingdom. Things like church planting, church projects, giving to the needy, giving to those who are doing the work of God in remote areas that need assistance, financial assistance. I've always committed that first fruit. And by the grace of God, the gift of God always keeps giving back, because I have never known a lesser job than the job I was doing previously. Every other time, God opens new doors for me, new doors of opportunity, advancement in my career, advancement in businesses, and it has always been a blessing. And I believe that if you dedicate a portion of what you consider dear to you in giving to God, it always returns back to you in double, in triple, and in multiple folds. Now, here are some questions you can ask yourself in reflecting on this particular episode. What is the most valuable thing in my life right now? Am I willing to surrender it to God? And what is that one thing I can give to show my love to Him this season? Now I challenge you. This week, what is that one thing you would commit or decide to give to God to show your love for Him? It could be your time, it could be your resources, it could be a deeper level of obedience to His word. It could be a commitment to do something even in future. It just needs to be in your heart. Now note, whatever you decide to give to God, let it come out of a place of love, to prove your love to Him, not as an obligation or as mandatory, because it would not be acceptable. It has to be something you're doing out of love, to show your love, to prove your love to God. Thank you for joining me today at Tyra's Corner as I share the greatest love story ever told, where we talk about the love aspect of that story, the gift aspect of that story. In the next episode, we'll be talking about the life aspect, which is the greatest reward of all. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you haven't seen the video on the love aspect, it's here on my channel for you to watch and understand how all these aspects come into the story of the greatest love story of all. Let's grow together in faith. See you next time. Bye-bye.